Good morning, students. We will talk about granulomatous diseases affecting external nose and internal nasal cavity, nasopharynx, and oral cavity. This lecture will give you idea about the granulomatous diseases affecting nose. There are many classification for the granulomatous diseases affecting nose, but the main is bacterial, fungal, and unspecified cause. Bacterial granulomatous diseases are rhinoscleroma, syphilis, tuberculosis, lupus, and leprosy. Fungal diseases affecting nose are rhinosporidiosis, aspergillosis, mucormycosis, candidiasis, histoplasmosis, and blastomycosis. Unspecified cause which also affect the different organ of the body are tegener granulomatosis, peripheral T cell neoplasm, that is also known as non-healing midline granuloma, sarcoidosis, and Churg-Strauss syndrome. We will talk about each disease one by one. Rhinoscleroma, it is a chronic granulomatous disease caused by the gram-negative organism known as Klebsiella rhinoscleromatosis or Fritz bacillus. It usually affects the mucous membrane of the nose and nasopharynx, affects both man and animal. More than 90% of cases have been reported in India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. Clinical feature is usually divided into three stages. First is atrophic stage, followed by granulomatous stage, and third is cicatricial stage. In atrophic stage, the clinical feature will resemble the clinical features of atrophic rhinitis, in which patient will have crust formation in the nasal cavity, and this crust will have a foul smelling purulent nasal discharge. So there will be anosmia, crusting, bleeding in the clinical features of atrophic stage. Followed by there will be formation of granulomatous nodule in the nasal mucosa and subdermal infiltration of the lower part of the external nose and upper lip, giving a woody feel. Nodules are usually painless and ulcerative. In this stage, there will be formation over the external part of the nose, which can also affect the upper lip. Cicatricial stage, in this nodule will wean off and there will be stenosis of the nares, distortion of the upper lip, adhesion in the nose, nasopharynx, and oropharynx. It can also cause subglottic stenosis just below the larynx. Here in this diagram you can see there is stenosis of the both nostril and external nares. First there will be formation of the nodule which will convert into the stenosis of the nose. In this diagram you can see the stenosis and blockage of the nose in a patient of rhinoscleroma. Here you can see the normal opening of the external nose, but here you can see only one small pinpoint opening in the nose due to this stenosis. Diagnosis is usually done by biopsy of the local site involving nodule and stenosis. There will be submucosa with plasma cells, lymphocytes, eosinophils, mycoid cells, and Russell bodies. Mycoid cells and Russell bodies, they both are characteristic feature of rhinoscleroma. Mycoid cells are large foam cells with central nucleus and vacuolated cytoplasm containing bacilli. Here you can see this is the nucleus central followed by foam cells. Here multiple foam cells are situated in this mycoid cells. Russell bodies, they are the homogeneous eosinophilic inclusion bodies found in plasma cells. Here you can see the different Russell bodies. They both are characteristic feature of rhinoscleroma. Culture of the causative bacilli can develop from the biopsy specimen. Treatment is, we have to give streptomycin injection 1 gram per day and tetracycline 2 gram per day together for a minimum period of 4 to 6 weeks. If needed, if patient has other clinical features of rhinoscleroma, then we can extend this treatment for 1 more month. Steroid can be given to reduce the fibrosis. Treatment is stopped when 2 biopsy cultures are negative for the bacilli from the local site. And surgical treatment is needed to remove the stenosis and establish the airway whenever patient has developed stenosis of the nasal cavity or external nose. Second disease is syphilis. It can be acquired or congenital. Acquired syphilis has 3 stages: primary, secondary and tertiary. In primary, manifests as chancre of vestibule or vestibule of the nose. It is usually rare. Secondary syphilis, simple rhinitis with crusting and fissuring in the nasal vestibule. Presence of mucus patches can be seen in the pharynx, skin rash, fever and lymphadenitis. In tertiary syphilis, nose is commonly involved. Formation of gumma on the septum, that is the granuloma over the septum, followed by septal perforation, and also this perforation can occur in hard palate also. Bony and cartilaginous sequestra can be seen. And whenever patient develops saddle nose deformity, dorsum of the nose does not have the support, so patient will develop the saddle nose deformity after the septal perforation. So in primary and secondary stage of syphilis, nose is not commonly involved, but in tertiary syphilis, nose is commonly involved. In congenital form of syphilis, it is seen as 2 forms: early form in the initial stage of life and late form which will manifest around the puberty. Early form will manifest in first 3 months of life and manifest as snuffles, in which patient will have recurrent nasal discharge which becomes purulent and cause fissuring and excoriation of the nasal vestibule and upper lip. In this diagram you can see the congenital syphilis, in which patient has purulent nasal discharge from both nostril and it has affected developed the excoriation of the external part of the nose and also over the upper lip. In this diagram you can see the septum is perforated through and through. There is also the columnar involvement and cartilaginous involvement of the septum. Late form of syphilis manifests around puberty and it is similar to tertiary stage of acquired syphilis. So late form of congenital syphilis, patient will have formation of gumma, septal perforation and saddle nose deformity. Diagnosis is usually done by VDRL test and biopsy of the tissue. Treatment is penicillin is usually the drug of choice. We can also give different cephalosporin for the same. Nasal crust are removed by the alkaline solution, as we have seen in atrophic rhinitis patients. Cosmetic deformity is corrected after the disease becomes inactive. Tuberculosis. Primary tuberculosis affecting the nasal cavity is very rare. It is usually secondary after the lung TB. So whenever patient has infection in the chest with tuberculosis, that tuberculous bacilli can reach up to the nasal cavity and patient nasal cavity can be infected. Usually clinical feature are nodular infiltration followed by ulcer, followed by perforation in the cartilaginous part of the nasal septum. Means the anterior part of the nasal septum is usually affected, leaving the posterior part behind. So there will be formation of nodule which will ulcerate, and this ulcer can go through and through and patient will develop septal perforation in the anterior part of the nasal septum. Usually it can also affect the anterior part of the inferior turbinate. Diagnosis is usually done by biopsy and staining of the bacilli. Culture of the organism can also done from the nodular infiltration. Treatment is anti-cox therapy for 6 months. Leprosy, it is usually caused by Mycobacterium leprae bacteria. Nose is usually involved as a part of systemic disease and more often in lepromatous leprosy than the tuberculoid leprosy. Usually affect the anterior septum and inferior turbinate. We have already seen that anterior septum and inferior turbinate also affected by the tuberculosis. Features are excessive nasal discharge, crusting and bleeding. So whenever we remove the crust, patient will have epistaxis. Nodular lesion over the septum perforates and cause the septal perforation. Late sequelae for this leprosy are atrogrynitis, saddle nose deformity due to the destruction or septal perforation, destruction of the anterior nasal spine and retrusion of the columella. So anterior nasal spine will give the support to columella. So whenever there is destruction of the anterior nasal spine, there will be retrusion of the columella. In this diagram you can see the retrusion of the columella here, also the saddle nose deformity over the dorsum of the nose. Skin involvement in the lepromatous leprosy you can see in the diagram. In this diagram you can see the saddle nose deformity and retrusion of the columella here. Diagnosis is usually done by scraping of nasal mucosa and biopsy. Acid-fast lepra bacilli in the foamy appearing histiocytes, which are known as lepra cells, will be seen in the nasal mucosa scraping. Treatment is usually done by anti-leprosy drugs, which are dapsone, rifampicin and isoniazid. Reconstructive procedures are needed in patients with saddle nose deformity and retrusion of columella. Fungal infection which affect the nose are, first is rhinosporidiosis. In rhinosporidiosis, it is a fungal infection caused by Rhinosporidium sebarii fungus, and which it will form the granuloma. It is acquired through the contaminated water of ponds, and usually most cases are seen in southern states of the India. It usually affect the nose and nasopharynx, can also affect the oral cavity, oropharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, skin, vulva and vagina. In nose, usually leafy polypoidal mass to purple in color. Sometimes mass also extend into the nasopharynx and oropharynx whenever patient does not get treatment initially. So here you can see there is leafy polypoidal mass which is pink or purple in color that has affected the anterior part of the nose, and it has come out from the anterior nasal cavity. In the diagram you can see that this is the tongue, the saw palate, and behind here is the mass coming from nails into the nasopharynx, behind the uvula, and mass from nasopharynx into the oropharynx. So this is a mass coming from nasal cavity into the oropharynx. This diagram is a nasal endoscopy diagram showing polypoidal mass with flexion and edema in the nasal cavity. Mass is very vascular as seen in this figure, and it's on touch. So when it touches this mass, it will cause bleed. This is studied. The white dots suggest sporangia of the fungus. Diagnosis is usually done by biopsy of the mass, and there will be suggestive sporangia equal to round in shape filled with spores of the fungus. Treatment is usually surgical excision of the mass, but when there will be which will be left behind in the nasal cavity during the surgical excision, it can cause recurrence. So more common in sporidiosis than rhinoma. Second fungus which can affect nose and nasal cavity is aspergillosis. Causative organisms are Aspergillus niger, Aspergillus fumigatus, and Aspergillus flavus. More common in immunocompromised patients. Usually features are of acute and subacute rhinitis, in which patient has nasal congestion, nasal discharge, sometimes fever, and also the congestion in the eyes. Usually there will be formation of membrane over the nasal mucosa, and sometimes only single or bilateral, unilateral or bilateral maxillary sinus will affect as a fungal ball in the maxillary sinus. The ball will affect the maxillary sinus ostium and it will block the ostium. So there will be increase in the fungal ball alone in the unilateral maxillary sinus, which contains cheesy white or material. On widening the maxillary sinus ostium, we can see the blackish to cheesy white material coming from the maxillary sinus. Diagnosis is usually done by fungal stain and culture from the pus and biopsy. We can diagnose this aspergillosis and rhinosporidiosis by CT scan of the paranasal sinuses with contrast. Treatment is usually functional endoscopic surgery, removal of the any infected tissue, cheesy white and blackish material from the affected sinus, and wide drainage of the affected sinus. Antifungal drugs like amphotericin can be given in this type of patient to prevent the recurrence. Mucormycosis, that is very fatal fungal infection of the nose and paranasal sinuses. It is usually seen in uncontrolled diabetes mellitus immunocompromised patient. Bacterial infection of the nasal cavity can occur in any patient, but fungal infection in our body are usually seen in immunocompromised patient like uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, patient with on immunosuppressive drugs, patient with HIV. Mycosis is a very fatal fungal infection which can spread orbit, meninges and brain, cause meningitis and brain abscess also. Fungus is usually attached to the arteries of the and can cause the arterial damage. So thrombosis of the arteries, there will necrosis tissue, and we have to remove the necrosis of the tissue as early as possible to prevent the growth of the fungus and affecting more and more mucosa. Usually necrotic mass is filled in the cavity and the septum and hard palate also. In this diagram you can see the mucormycosis has affected the part of the nose and dorsal nose. Pupilla are affected and there is charring or blackish formation of the skin. So this is the tissue that we have to remove, and this has the periorbital paranasal edema, also the upper lipedema. In this diagram you can see that there is involvement of as a black mass over the hard palate. Diagnose usually biopsy and special stains to detect the fungus. Extent of the disease can be noted by CT-PNS with contrast imaging. Treatment is usually functional endoscopic surgery, diseased tissue, and antifungal drugs like amphotericin B. We have to remove blackish material, blackish dead necrosed tissue from the local site, and followed by regeneration of the granulation, followed by we can do the reconstructive technique and flap procedure over the local site in this type of case. Non-specific granulomatous disease affecting nose, in which first is Wegener granulomatosis. This non-specific disease which also affect the different other parts of the body. Wegener granulomatosis usually mainly affect the upper body, which includes nasal cavity, pharynx, oropharynx, lungs, bronchi, kidney and skin. Usually in nasal cavity, patient will have a clear or blood-stained nasal discharge which later becomes purulent, persistent cold or sinuses. So patient will have a episodes of acute rhinitis or acute on chronic rhinitis. Nasal findings are nasal cavity, granulation over the septum or inferior turbinate. This granulation when it causes the ulcer and that can develop into the septal perforation, and this can give saddle nose deformity. This destruction can involve the orbital cavity, palate, oral cavity and middle ear also, which can affect the other organ, night sweating, hereditary arthralgias. Which is weight and patient can have blood. It is usually suggestive of single lesions. Whenever patient can have kidney involvement in Wegener granulomatosis, urine suggestive of red blood cells, cast and albumin. Serum creatinine level is raised whenever kidney injury is there. Diagnosis is usually done by biopsy of the granuloma involving nasal cavity or oropharynx. Necrosis and ulceration is seen in mucosa, epithelial granuloma and necrotizing vasculitis is small arteries and veins in the biopsy. Treatment is giving systemic steroids and drugs, lismaphides and second disease affecting nasal cavity is T-cell lymphoma, that is also known as malignant granuloma and polymorphic reticulosis. This starts from the one side of the nose and can involve the other side, nasal cavity and maxilla. It is of systemic feature. Most avoiding the other system of the diagnosis by biopsy of or involving granuloma or the necrous tissue. Polytissue and angioinvasive features are usually no vasculitis is seen in Wegener's granulomatosis, necrotizing vasculitis involving small arteries and veins. No vasculitis. Chemotherapy and disease over the septum we can give. Third disease is sarcoidosis. It is usually resembles tuberculosis, but there is no node. Systemic involvement is of lungs, skin, lymph node and eyes. In nose, usually there will be of the septum or in and with development of the nodule it can develop, can cause the epistaxis. Diagnosis is X-ray and biopsy of the lesion. Is infiltrated with, so there will be and involvement of the lymph node. By diagnosis, are high in a patient of sarcoidosis. So this is all about granulomatous disease affecting nose and paranasal sinuses, nasopharynx and oropharynx.